Hey everyone, I'm Alyssa, an Indianapolis Colts cheerleader for the 2024 season, and this is Believe in Colts.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, pow, Donald Thomas. And hey, it's Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And this could be an interesting game to bet on, in all honesty, upcoming against the Miami Dolphins, because there is some extremes in this game. Is anything for sure? Absolutely not. But going over the Miami Dolphins and what I've seen, not just on film and not just statistically, but just, your eyeball look of what the team looks like, especially with Tyler Huntley at quarterback rather than their traditional quarterback. This is a much different team overall, is it not?
Oh, I mean, it's night and day. This team went from looking like they were going to be real contenders in the AFC to, now all of a sudden, you got a talented quarterback, but he's not playing anywhere near what, Tua level. So, this is just, it's how the cookie crumbles. And it's definitely a game that is obtainable for the Colts in this one.
Yeah, I think so too. Obviously you don't overlook anybody. You prepare for everyone as though it's the last game of the season, and the playoffs are on the line. In my opinion, is how you approach each and every week. But before we get into this game, I got to remind everybody that Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. Every matchup, stat, even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. With the largest catalog of odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL to NBA. When the game's over, head over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today. Get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online. The game starts here. So I was talking about the difference in this offense and stuff with Tyler Huntley at quarterback. And I'm looking at the statistics, and oh my goodness, dude. We thought that we was playing one of the worst offenses, if not the worst offense last week against the Titans. And yardage-wise, yes, that is indeed the fact. The Titans are the worst passing offense in the league, 784 yards passing, and then overall they only have 1,266 yards. Look, the Miami Dolphins is fourth in the league in offense, fourth least, at 1,512. But the difference is they can't score points. They can't put touchdowns on the board. They only have 5 total touchdowns on the year. All right, they have less touchdowns. They have as many touchdowns as games played. That's just unreal. No, they have one more touchdown in a game played because they've only played 4. I think they had a bye week last week. What's up with this with the Colts playing teams after their bye week? That's nuts. But yeah, terrible offense. Running the ball, terrible offense. Passing the ball, you're looking at total. This team is just overall bad when it comes to the offense. What are you looking at with this matchup with the Indianapolis Colts defense versus the Miami Dolphins offense?
Well, I'm not looking at any stats, so I'm going to throw that out the window right now. I'm just going off of the trajectory of the team as of the past few weeks since Tua's been out. This is a team that's offensively has definitely been struggling. Run game, definitely passing game. It's in shambles. Tyreek Hill is nowhere near the numbers that he has like produced in the past. But I say all that to say this: you take them lightly, and they can have a career day. You there's nothing wrong with Tyreek Hill. He's just not getting the ball. He doesn't have a quarterback getting the ball. And I guarantee you, last week and this week they've been working on that. And they're going to try. I mean, I'm just telling you right now, he's a superstar, and he can get going. He can get going quick, and then it could be a long day. So, offensively for the Dolphins, I think that when they're looking at our defense, they're going to try to throw the ball. They have to throw the football. I think we're stout still up front compared to their offensive front defensively. And so, look for them to try to throw the ball early in this game, try to get something going, generate some type of offense for them. But, historically, the past few weeks, they've been poor. And it's really shown from the quarterback play. They're really hurting. And, this is a game that, I think Gus will do the same as last week. I think he's going to cook some things up for this quarterback with his inexperience, his lack of high elite quarterback play, that they're going to get after him. They're going to drum some stuff up. They're going to blitz a little bit more than the usual Gus calls like last week that they did. And I think that they're going to just try to cause havoc.
Yeah. The thing that sticks out to me the most is, look, the defense so far this year, the Colts defense, the biggest problem we have with them is missed tackles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is not a team you want to miss a tackle on.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Against a normal team, you miss a tackle, you might give up an extra 4 or 5 yards. All right. Every player on this Miami Dolphins offense has track speed. You missed a tackle, one tackle, and it goes from being an extra 5 yards to a house call. Okay. And that's not something that the Indianapolis Colts can afford. You got to be sure tackling in this game. And a matter of fact, I would say that is the key to the Colts winning this game, is making sure that you keep everything in front of you and make the tackle when it shows up.
Correct. That's the name of the game. You got to wrap up. Like when I'm coaching, I preach it. You got to wrap up. You got to wrap up. Like head up, wrap up. It's not good enough to get there, especially at this level. Missed tackles are they're just not okay. They're not okay. You're supposed to be some of the best tacklers in the world, and when we're not doing that, effectively, bad things happen. And so you've seen a lot of bad things happen this year with the missed tackles, and this is not a team. Just like when we saw Jacksonville, this is not a team that you can afford to miss tackles on. This is a bad team right now that if you give them life, this is the NFL, they will win a football game. So you've got to wrap up. When you play bad teams, you almost got to play perfect, right? You got to play perfect so that you let them know they're a bad football team and we're going to be here. We're elite. And we're not going to play how you guys think we're going to play by missing tackles. But, if the Colts come out and they play Colt brand football where they're, hitting on all cylinders, they're getting after the quarterback, they're wrapping up, they're playing good pass coverage, this will be a game that Miami has another L in their column.
Speaking of pass coverage, Samuel Womack and Jaylon Jones have actually played better than I gave them credit for at the beginning of the year. Right now, so far this season, Jaylon Jones is only giving up a 70 passer rating, which is damn solid overall for a corner. Sam Womack has only given up a 40 passer rating. That's best in the NFL. That's just unreal. Now, obviously, some of the other guys like Kenny Moore, a little bit of a step down from last year. He's over 100 as he's given up. But to be fair, slot is difficult to cover at times, especially in a zone defense where you ain't got the sideline, right? You guys could go any direction. So this is a situation where you're going up against Waddle, you're going up against Hill and a bunch of other good tight ends and running backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield and do some damage in that direction. Is it the pass game? Is this something that you would be more focused on defending the pass than the run, the way Gus Bradley seems to have been doing as of late? Getting sending extra blitzes and putting extra guys, in situations to defend the pass rather than worry about the run as much, or are you going to change things, or do you think he should change things up a little bit?
That's a great question. So, in the pass game, if you blitz, you're losing a guy in pass coverage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if he's super concerned about the pass game, then he has to rely on the guys up front to be able to generate pressure. Now, I don't think this is a game where we don't have everybody full 100% healthy, everyone available to where, you switch it up again. So I think, like I just said, I think you stick with that same kind of game plan mentality that you had last week going into this week, and then make adjustments at halftime if it's not going in your favor. But, you know, like we said, we saw a little bit more man coverage. We saw less zone. We saw more blitzing. You know, I think you kind of have to stick with that recipe, but you do have guys that have a lot of speed. And if you get behind that zone, bad things happen, right? And so, like, you don't want to let this kid, you know, sit back there and have time and chuck one up, and you have Tyreek Hill, you know, burning a corner because they can't keep up with them, or they're not sound on their zone coverage, and they find those holes and they keep exposing them. So this is going to be a game where it's going to be a fill out game, right? Like, this is going to be like first quarter and a half, start filling it out, trying to make some adjustments, and then go in at halftime, depending on how this game looks, to really, you know, adjust your defense. But I think they're practicing both. I think they're practicing a little bit of both this week. They have to, just because of the weapons that Miami still does have.
Flipping to the other side, our offense against their defense, Miami's got second best when it comes to yards allowed, second best pass defense in football. They've only given up 860 yards passing for the season and only given up 3 touchdowns compared to 3 interceptions, and only an 80 quarterback rating, a passer rating, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's wow. And the last few weeks with Joe Flacco in, we've lived and died by the pass. The running game just hasn't been there. What looks like to me, from what Shane Steichen's saying, that Anthony Richardson will be in this game as the starter. Do you air it out, or do you try to run the ball more against this Dolphins defense?
You hope for the best. You know, like, you're just gonna, you know, this. I think you did this on purpose. I really feel like you're just okay. So if Anthony's back in, he's the starter. You know, like, you're telling me, you're telling everyone, you're telling your team that this is the best chance for us to win football games. This isn't about, you know, this was his job to lose, and he technically didn't lose it. He just got hurt. So with that being said, you can't go one way or the other with Anthony in the game. Like, you can't say all of a sudden, oh, okay, now we're going to air the ball out and have Anthony drop back and throw, you know, 30 passes in the game, because that's not Anthony's game. You know, Anthony's game is Anthony's game, where it's going to have to be mixed. There's going to be some bombs in there that he's going to throw. He's going to be running the football. I already know they're going to have him have some quarterback design runs in there. You know, Jonathan Taylor should be back, correct? I think he's off the injury report, so he's
still on the injury report, and supposedly he did not practice yesterday, but they're saying that he may practice today. That report for today is not out yet, but they're hoping that they'll be able to get Taylor back for this game. I'm kind of hoping too.
You know, in the perfect world, if I was coaching, I would still have Joe Flacco in there, just because I think he's giving the team some more, just a little bit more stability. I think he's allowed some more of the coaches to get a couple extra minutes of sleep at night. And also he has the team with confidence that he's going to, you know, be under control and not, you know, do something crazy. So, you know, I don't know what the game plan is going to be for Anthony. I don't know what the best recipe is for him right now, because we haven't seen what the best recipe is. You know, as far as it's all about Anthony's progression, and that's what it really is about. And it's really hard to see that during the season, when you got a guy that's banged up and then he's not playing well, then he gets hurt. Like, his progression is tremendously slowed down because he's not in there. And then when he is in there, he's hobbled a little bit. So it's just going to be it's a wait and see game with Anthony. It's going to be one of those things where, you know, I think you're going to see a lot of mixes. You're going to see a lot of short passes to start the game off. Look for them to utilize the tight ends a little bit more in this game. They've shown some promise. They've all had some catches in the past, you know, last week. So, you know, I see it as the good part is our receiving core, I feel like is really picked it up. You know, like, they've been forced to, obviously, because of the run game has been lacking a little bit, but I really can't tell you what the perfect recipe is for Anthony Richardson at this point.
All right. The Miami Dolphins have given up 8 touchdowns on the ground this year, rushing touchdowns and are giving up 4.7 yards per carry. That is a stark difference between their pass defense. Calais Campbell in the middle of that field is not the same guy he once was when he was with Jacksonville, or even, if I
Arizona,
remember correct, the Ravens, right?
Arizona as well. He was a dog in Arizona. I played against him in Arizona. He was a terror. But
right now, Calais has a statistic right now that is mind-boggling for what you're used to seeing him. He has missed 20% of all attempted tackles so far this year. That's unreal. Is that something that you feel like is something that's came on with age, or do you think that's just a blip that you can't really look at that at all?
That's all father time. That's father, like he's one, he has crossed over into that old savvy defensive tackle that can make plays for you, but he's not going to make plays like how he used to, but he's still serviceable. He can cause havoc in a game if you don't block him properly. He has, he's 6'8". He's got damn near 8 foot wingspan. His arms are super long. And, when you look at it from a standpoint of, the guards will have their hands full. And, he's going to be back there. He's going to make plays. He's going to be in on plays. But yeah, his stats are showing father time is catching up to him. I can't see him playing for too much longer. This might be his last year. In my opinion, he's played for a very long time in the trenches, but he's one of those guys that you can't forget about. Like, he's in there for a reason, and he's been on these teams, and he's been a premier pass rusher and run stopper for a very long time. So I don't even, like I told you before, I don't care about the stats. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking at what he can do if you let him. And so, like, showing from a defensive tackle standpoint, missing, you said 20% of his tackles, like, but he's there though. There's what we fail to realize is he's there on a play, a D tackle to miss a tackle. It means you beat the guy in front of you, to where you can get hands on a guy. So just the lack of wrapping up, but if he can get a hit on the running back and slow him down, that allows other guys to get to the ball. So, you have to look at it from a different standpoint of his effectiveness. And I think that if he wasn't effective anymore, he wouldn't be in there. So, he's a guy that he can make plays, just can't let him get going.
There's a very familiar name on this defense that I didn't even realize he was there. Apparently, they got him from the Cleveland Browns this past offseason. Anthony Walker Jr., the linebacker that the Colts had for a while. I loved Anthony Walker when he was with the Indianapolis Colts. And now he's with Miami. He's a backup, apparently, to David Long. But this is a situation, again, they got some linebackers over there. It's got a lot of speed. Chop Robinson, the rookie that they picked up, Emmanuel Ogbah on either end, and then Jordan Brooks, and as I mentioned already, David Long. These linebackers are very, very fast. Last week I talked about how I wish that the Indianapolis Colts would have ran more outside zones and toss sweeps and stuff like that in the running game. I'm not so sure about that in this game. This is a game where going right up the gut may actually play into your favor, in my opinion.
Yeah, they have a good defense. Like, let's just call it what it is. Like, they have, a top 5, top 10 defense, depending on how you want to look at it. But, at the end of the day, like, they got some guys. They got some guys that they can play, especially on those edges. And like you said, they can go back east to west and run stuff down. So I think, you're spot on with running the ball up the middle. See what that looks like. You got to remember, though, you got some guys that are replacements, and it might not look as good at times, right? So, like I said again, right, like, this is a week where it's very important for Shane Steichen to understand the guys he has out there and what plays to their favor. I think you don't abandon the outside runs because, Chop is still a rookie. And if you put a tight end on his side and you try to get an edge on him, I think you can, right? But if you leave him by himself and you just ask the tackles to reach block him, it's going to be a long day because, that dude's a specimen. I saw him close up at the combine, and I couldn't, like, it was chopping everybody else. It was like, it wasn't even close. Like, you knew when he was going, it just looked different, size of him, speed of him. You know what I'm saying? But all those guys over there can play. And like you said, like, those those linebackers are rangy, they're fast. But this is the NFL, right? And so you're gonna see that week in and week out. Everyone has some, some great attributes about them. So, attacking the middle is definitely going to be a key focus. I think a lot of counter. I would throw counter in there. I would throw some inside zone. I would throw, some power in there. Those would be my 3 core running plays that I will stick with for a while until, you just try some trickery a little bit, maybe a reverse from time to time. If those ends are starting to bite hard, you can get back out on the outside and have some yards there. But, start off the game, I definitely would go right up the middle, inside zone. Let's do it.
What would be your biggest key to winning this game? Offensively, defensively, doesn't matter. Special teams. You're saying, well, Rigo needs to drop more inside the 5.
Right.
What's your biggest key?
Not turning the ball over. That is going to be a key against when you play bad teams. If you give them a chance, not turn the ball over and not having costly penalties. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the Colts can execute if they watch film, if they practice the right way, if they all are bought into what this week entails. I think it's going to come down to the penalties. I think it's going to come down to not turning the ball over are my key 2 focuses on this game.
I've already stated my key to the game, and that is don't miss those tackles. Wrap up. Don't let them get extra yardage because those extra yardage can come in chunks if you miss a tackle.
Yep.
So key player, one guy that you feel like could really be a major game changer in this game.
Well, I mean, if Anthony Richardson's back, I'm going to have to go with Anthony Richardson because he's touching the ball every single snap. So if we're going to focus on a guy that is going to be a game changer, it's going to either be in the positive or the negative. There's no in between with him. I think it's going to come down to, can he make the right decisions when the right decisions need to be made? And that's every single time he has the football. And that is key. You know what I'm saying? Even if he's handing the ball off, right? Are you making the right checks? Do you see the coverage? Do you see, do you know how to check out of something because it doesn't look right, right? And so, like, are we running into something where we can't run into, or are you going to make the right decision if you're, RPO, right? Like, or if it's a toss or something like that, it's anything, right? He's got to make the right decisions, and especially throwing into coverage. There's going to be a lot of holding your breath when you see him drop back because, it's not always going to be what he sees, and that just comes from him being available and seeing all these different coverages and know how to handle them. So he's got to make the right decisions. And if he doesn't make the right decisions, then it doesn't matter what the route that, Pierce runs or, any of these guys, 80 runs or any of them, right? Like, because he's thrown into double coverage or he's overthrown a ball or, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's underthrown a ball or he's just not making the right read. So, I'm going with Anthony. If Anthony's in there, he's a key factor in whether the Colts win or lose. He's the quarterback, right? And he's got to lead the troops.
Well, since you picked the quarterback, I'm going to go the opposite end. I'm going to go defense. Look, the Indianapolis Colts last year were really high in sacks, but not very good in pressure rate. This year, they're 20th in pressure rate and 20th in hurries and pressure rate. I think they're 12th. Massive jump. And, the big thing that I see in that is, the addition of Laiatu Latu. He's not getting the sacks, but he's getting in there and getting pressures on quarterbacks. This week he's going up against a name at left tackle, Taron Armstead. That's going to be a big matchup, and Latu's going to have to win as much as possible, even if he doesn't get sacks, getting pressure, making that quarterback for Miami, right? Making Tyler Huntley very uncomfortable and forcing him to run around. That'll pay dividends for the defense big time.
I agree with you on that. We're seeing a guy that's struggled just a little bit, in my opinion, run and pass. But this is a game where, you got to grow up. You got to keep growing up every week. You got to grow up fast. This is dog years, right? NFL is dog years, right? Every game is not 7 years, but it's you got to grow up fast. You can't make the same mistakes. You got to keep evolving. So I know he's working hard. I've heard that he's a hard worker and he's working on his craft. So You know, Armstead's good in the run and the pass, right? He's a big body. He's a veteran. He knows how to play it. And, you know, Latu is not the hardest guy for him to have ever blocked. So, you know, he's going to have to create some pressures like he has been, but more on a more consistent level.
Absolutely. Well, according to Bet Online, the Indianapolis Colts are favored by 3 in this game.
Saw that.
Yeah. So where you hedging your bets? Are you going with the Colts? And if so, what's your final score? What's your game prediction, my guy?
Anthony Richardson, that quarterback, -3. Nice. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 24-14 Colts win this one.
Ooh, nice. That's a 10-point double-digit win. I'm going to go make it even worse. I'm going to say 32. That's right. I think the Colts score 32 points in this game to 17.
Now, you do remember that they're going against a good defense now.
Pass defense.
Correct.
Because Anthony Richardson is in there, I think that the run game is effective. I think the Colts get near 200 yards rushing in this game.
Wow.
That'll be nice to see, especially after the 2.2 yards per carry that we saw last week against the Titans. The Titans, though, have an absolute studly run defense. I think
that's lofty, man. That's very, very lofty.
Yes, it is. But
32 points.
We'll see how it works.
32 points is crazy.
32 points is a lot of points. I haven't.
And you got.
I don't think I've ever predicted the Colts to score 32 points.
And you got Miami scoring how many?
17. I think it's a blowout. I think it's close at halftime, and I think Indy, because I feel like that their run game is just going to wear that defense down more and more and more, and I think the Colts pull away in the second half.
I mean, that'd be nice to see.
It would be. It'd be very nice to see.
I'll be at.
We'll see what happens.
I'll be watching softball. I'll be at my daughter's softball tournament when that's going on, so I'll be watching on my phone. But I hope so, man. I think that's I think it's a little bit lofty in my opinion, but you know, like we'll see, man. We'll see.
I'm taking those chances.
I think
this is hedging that EJ and Zaire hold down the fort in the tackling and don't be missing tackles all left and right.
I mean, this is hedging that every
different game.
This is hedging that everybody does their job at this point. I mean,
yeah,
considering a blowout, but you know, hey, listen, man. We've seen crazier things have happened. So, and this is any given Sunday, and it can easily go the other way. And that's the craziest part about it. So, you know, statistically in the Colts' favor, they are favored to win this game. I do think they're a better football team at this point of the season, even though we're sitting at 500. You know, you can't take anything away from those guys over there, but you know, the Colts are a better football team, you know, overall. And I think that they're clicking. I just question the cylinders that are clicking at this point when you change the transmission again, right? When you change the transmission, is it still going to be firing on all cylinders like it has? I mean, it hasn't been pretty, but at least they've been firing on enough cylinders to get a win, you know, last week, like how we did. So, like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, man. It'll be very interesting to see, but, you know, 32 is crazy. I don't know. I'm sure. Again.
I understand where you're coming from. I feel like every game the Colts have been in this year, it's been 7 points or less.
Mm-hmm.
You even got a 10-point win here. So
yeah, you know, I mean, because like what I'm saying is like up by a score, get the ball late, kick a field goal with like 3 minutes left, hold them after that, 10-point win. There you go.
All right. That's going to do it for us here at Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Donald Thomas. And as usual, I want you to remember, hey, go Colts.
Go Colts, baby.
Do you believe?